Okay, it says welcome to the live chat. All right. All right, let's bring everybody in. Get in here, y'all. Get in here. Get in here. Do we really have it going? I hope so. I hope all are well. It is the High Priestess Maven. Um, can y'all hear me? I hope you can hear me. We can get a nice little behind the scenes chat going. Where is everybody? I just have Maven sounds up so you can hear it, but I wanted you to see me first. And check in. Get in here, y'all. Get in here, y'all. I hope you enjoy the first day of spring. Let me see. I hope so. I'm telling y'all, I got a chance to get out now. I'm in the Midwest, and what's happening is we got these little pockets of snow everywhere. So, anyone who's in the Midwest, um, the Great Lakes states, hopefully I can get some folk in here. Let me double check. We're doing our stream. We're coming in live. Hopefully y'all can see me. I want to do some behind the scenes stuff. Um, okay, somebody say yes. I'm gonna turn this down though because I don't want it interrupting. Y'all, this is laid back because I wanted. It's a behind the scenes with HP Maven Studios in the first day of spring. I had to really get going today for the first day of spring. I had a really wonderful day. I hope everyone else had a wonderful day. If you want to chat in, please do. Um, I tell you, what I found out too is that with the day, with the snow, the little pockets of snow, it keeps it cold. It's almost like having ice in a drink. That's what I was, on the rocks. That's what I was experiencing. Like it was chilly, even though it was said it was like 69 degrees, which is almost 70 degrees. But when you had that little snow, all patches around, it is a trip, honey. So check in, get in here, y'all, get in here. I hope my folk out there. Somebody said they did see it. Uh, y'all, let's let this be laid back. When I do a lot of stuff like on the platform, sometimes people want to know like what I did, how I did it, things like that. So I said I want to do a behind the scenes with HP Maven and HP Maven Studios. So I wanted to check in first and see. It's just Friday. We had the first day of spring, and I put some in the chat. I stuck some. Well, what we were going, I had scheduled this in the system for to display today, and we have the Aries moon, and then we have the Pisces sun. So I was waiting till everything kind of lined up with Aries, and that's really what the first day of spring is about. When they say this is kind of an old word, but it's vernal equinox. So now they just say the equinox. So, but I really realized that it was a situation where people need to know it was switching over from Pisces, which is I don't want to be coming in on the feet. And I'm gonna share what I mean by that when I say coming in on the feet, because it's we see it as the full body would be all 12 of the astrological signs, and I'm using symbols and not animals, the wheel of animals. So let me see. I want to make sure y'all looking at me. Uh, get in here, y'all. Get in here. It's HP Maven, HP Maven Studios on a BMA platform as well. BMA platform is all encompassing. It also includes HP Maven Studios. So that's how that works. I'm trying to see if you see me live. Somebody said yes. Yes. 15 hours. Oh yeah, it is going. I see it. I don't want to turn it on because I don't want to sit here and Oh yeah. Let me throw up a heart and see if that goes in there. Oh yeah. Okay, that's me. Yes. Yay. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Welcome. I want to share some stuff with you all, but like I was saying, I put in the chat, I put in the Being Made platform comment where it says Aries moon and a Pisces sun. So I want to kind of go over what that's talking about um, with some information. But first, let me just kind of give an overall. I'm going to make it short and sweet and simple as far as like what the difference between astrology and astronomy. So, astrology is the actual symbolism that goes into the spiritual side. Astrology, you can look at that as the spiritual side. Astronomy is the physical side. So, it's the physical placement of the planets and the what they call the bodies in the sky. Some people say heavenly bodies. If you want to keep it secular, you would, instead of being a organized religious thought process, but you want to just say the bodies in the sky. Um, or we can just say sun, moon, planets, and the fixed stars. Okay. So astrology is more of a essence of being. It is characteristics. It's also persona, and it has various descriptions. But what we like to say is just it's natural and supernatural. I love using the word supernatural, y'all. That's my thing, supernatural. So that's what it is. So when you hear astrology or astrological signs, you just think spiritual. Astrology is spiritual, and astronomy is physical placement of the planets, the sun, the moon, and the fixed stars. Okay, so the stars that are just fixed in the sky, and they're a part of constellations as well. That's all I want to say. So with that being said, the reason why I'm explaining that is because we talked about the Aries moon, which was the Aries moon was more so the astrological side, and I thought it was interesting how Aries moon was lined up with the actual season, whereas the placement, the physical placement, was still in Pisces earlier today, along with the sun. So it's the very last day of Pisces, as far as like the astrological placement of the sun, and now we're into Aries. So I want to show y'all what the vernal equinox mean, or just the equinox, based on alignment. Okay, so we're going to talk about alignment. But first, let's get a little music in. Give me a sec here, cause I got my music working. I told you I got my new digs, y'all. I'm gonna make me a little smaller here and get some music. Hold on. I want to get a little. This is the 13 moon Maven sounds that I want to share with you all. So Maven sounds, the 13 moon. They got it playing for me, y'all. I can't hardly do nothing without no music. Okay. Yes. Y'all know? Okay, y'all. I had to give me that's just get me into my zone. All right. So that's with yours truly, Maven Sounds, 13 Moon Magic. That's what I was trying to play the other evening when we were doing our Red Blood Moon ritual, but I had to have some technical assistance, and now we get it playing on our lives. All right. So please do check out the description for a link. Mellow music. I want to go for music that would be neo soul, jazz, and some future Afro futuristic songs too. Kind of like that flair. But I love neo soul, so I want to kind of put that in there as well. So just some AI stuff for us to kind of like take us through these spiritual experiences as well as spiritual information as we're learning. So the e-learning that's going on. So thank you for allowing me to indulge with you with that. Let me bring myself back in here. Yeah, I had to put that on there because I was like, I wasn't feeling it when I couldn't be great with my other presentation. When I couldn't put my music on there, I was not going for that. It just puts me in a mellow, chill mode. Um, but either way, thank you for that. Let's get into it. I wanted to share a few things. Again, this is behind the scenes. I want to first share with you what the whole alignment means when we're talking about, um, you know, the equinox in the spring. And the basic premise that we want to keep in mind is that it's just about the season switching, of course, but at the same time, it's about the aspect of the four seasons and how they come together with the 13 moons. Yes, 13 moons. Now, there we show 12 astrological signs, but the 13 moons is about the Great Mother, the birthing seasons for the female. Well, I like to say feminine, the feminine body, as well as the Earth itself, and then also y'all the cosmos. So we're gonna think about the galaxy when it's releasing comets, asteroids, releasing all kinds of meteor showers, things like that. So that's another type of just positing into the divine cosmic realm. So I think that the biggest part for me that I like to keep in mind is all the things that go into us being able to study and follow the stars, quote unquote, as they say. So following the stars is another way that we can look at our lives, and charting our destiny and path and purpose. So that's why I'm so into this. I've always been into astrology, even since a little girl. When I would watch my mom with her telescope, and the things she would interpret, the dreams she would interpret, and the like. So this has just been something that's been after my own heart and also in my direct bloodline. So what we're gonna do is like I said, this is behind the scenes. I want this to be a little chill. So if y'all need to go get a sippy or something, go get a sippy and follow along. I'm gonna give you some of my work. Let me go ahead and minimize myself up here. Hope everyone's doing well. Let me see if I can. Give me a sec. Bring in some of my materials. Bring it to the stage. Hold on. I don't think I have to be on here for you to see it. Bring it to the stage. Yeah, I'll be grabbing those little pockets of snow leaf. They are really not helping us to do what we need to do. Okay, so first thing I'm going to share with you is actually I like to have my astrology signs. I'm going to try to refrain from saying the zodiac because I've been saying that for a long time. But when I think of zodiac, I think of the wheel of animals. And some people might be different with it, but I think of the wheel of animals, and that's not what I'm trying to put together for y'all today. Anything to do with the wheel of animals. I'm bringing in symbolism. So that's kind of where I want to take this today. And again, behind the scenes, working behind the scenes with HP Maven and HP Maven Studios. And what do we have here? Okay, I'm gonna show you some of the symbolism that goes into the spring equinox, and how it lines up today. And when we talk about astrology and astronomy, as well as the which is the physical placement and the spiritual connection or the essence. It's that feeling. Just like my music under Maven's sounds is that oracle feeling, because our spirituality is all about feeling. That traditional spirituality that many people love, um, can't get enough of, I like to say. But in essence, the astrology side of it is Aries. Okay, so that's where the moon's placement is. I'm going to take Pisces off of here because that was earlier today. Let me just go ahead and get Pisces off. Cut that out. And then we're going to go ahead and put Aries up here. So we're working with symbolism and not, like I said, when I think about the zodiacal, I think about the wheel of animals. But what we definitely wanted to work with today is just our symbols. Okay, so you'll see a whole bunch of symbols on here, but what I'm working toward is just basically getting into Aries, which you'll see this right here. Let me go ahead and let me go ahead and bring this over. I want this to be, I had this all lined up, but I want to start it over again so everybody can see what we're doing. Okay, so that's not what I want to do. I actually want to just do the, give me a second, just the symbol itself. That's why I had it out. So behind the scenes with HB Maven, just copy it. And for those of you who know, you know, that is the Aries symbol. And what they were going for, when I say they, I guess we just talk about like the ancients, those who put these symbols together, those who came before us. This is common. This is what we know. So we kind of like leave it at that. But this is the series for Aries, for those who do not know. I had the name over here, but what I want to work with is just the actual symbol itself. So we took it off of the, let me see here. Let's get it. Y'all get to see me raw and in living color doing some of the stuff that I do. The artwork. We want to get our symbols so that we can put them on our artwork and just teach a little more about the alignment that we see today and why it's called an equinox. And they talk about the egg being on its side, things like that. I wanted to share a little bit more about the position of High Priestess. We talked about it, we did the interview, but I think that there's a little bit more that goes with it. For instance, that like we work with more so fertility. And I know a lot of people say, oh, they're a fertility goddess or something. And I think that's strange because when people kind of shun a fertility goddess, let's just say if it was a fertility goddess that we're saying. And I'm not saying that I am. I'm just saying that the thought of fertility, why is that a bad thing? I always ask that question, like, why is fertility a bad thing? I don't get that part. But be that as it may, you know, some people say, oh, they're doing fertility stuff. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with fertility. I don't even know why people won't even try to give it a bad rap like that, to be honest with you. But either way, this is the alignment that happens during the vernal equinox. And they say that an egg can stand on its end, on its side rather. But I'm going to show you some things that will allow us to kind of go into some of the, some people might call it mythos, some people might call it, I don't know, lore, legend, you know, folklore, mythology. But in essence, these are real beliefs for traditional spirituality. And I just want to make sure that people don't get away from that. And when I say people, I just mean our people, like the culture. Because in essence, even if you don't believe in certain aspects of mythology, you have to believe in your own people and what you see. And what we see is more so people that are able to make this stuff real. And it is not just mythology in essence. It's actual real experiences, real traditional systems of magic. Let me just come out of here real quick because when I'm saying this, I want to kind of like, I want to bring myself up a little bit more, and then we'll get back to that because this is so important. Um, the thought process that goes into when we dealing with our traditions, and a lot of people want to trivialize it. I feel I want to come up here because this is really serious to me. I feel like a lot of people want to trivialize our process of um, connecting with the divine source um, and force of all that was, is, and is to come. And as we move forward, and there's so many things that are changing within our society, our inner circles, as well as the overall society. I want to be able to have us speak to each other more. I heard Brother Terrence Howard the other day, and he came out with some really great scientific information. And he's in the midst of being shunned for that um, by the academic community because they don't feel that he went to any of their schools, and he's not a part of the club, and not considered to be an academic, quote unquote, to that extent. But he came out with some really great theories and some really great scientific data, theories, and things that he's proven. He has like all over like 25 patents or something like that for his scientific work. But one thing I've noticed in his video, he says, if y'all want to know about me, then you need to come to me. And that just stuck with me because I thought about how a lot of people will do interviews and they'll research things and they'll ask people to come and speak. And at first I was like almost to this point of being like, Prince, I don't do interviews. I don't want to, that's not what I do. But in essence, I wanted to do it because one thing, first, it was for the youth. And I will do many things for the youth, honestly. And secondly, I just felt like if there's something to be told, I want it to come from me and just not have people just kind of like positing what they believe. And that's been my whole premise for a while. So as we move forward, I think that it really can help if we as a people can start to share with each other, and we don't have to tell all our business. You know how I know how that is. But I mean, just like share our stories. Like back in the day, and I mentioned this the other day when we used to have testimony service. And testimony service was a point in the service when we would be at the church. Um, at that time when I was a little girl, and you would just get up and just tell your people in the congregation about your week or your day or whatever, things that you wanted to just kind of like speak about it to kinfolk. And we found that to be a great time. It was cathartic, it was therapeutic in many ways, and it helped people to know who cared about you. It helped them to know how to petition for you. We used to say prayer back then, but it helped them to know how to, put something out there in the atmosphere, quote unquote, that, can help you possibly. Just kind of have that good energy coming towards you. Um, but nowadays, as we move forward, all this information that's out there that somebody put together from wherever they got it from, historical information, the museums, things like that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but at the same time, if you need to know about me, you need to come to me. And I like the way that the people came to me. They were like, what is a priestess? And well, asking different questions. We put the questions down, and I feel like the questions were extremely general in many ways. We kind of picked the ones that were more so the way we did it. And I want to talk about this real briefly because now that the interviews are just kind of going forward, but those are the first round of them are completed. But we picked the ones that were the more common questions. We can put it that way. And we just basically tallied them up and say, oh, these are the more common questions. So since more people want to know this, let's answer it this way. Um, but I feel like there's some things that people don't know to ask. And really what it is my story, my own personal origin story. Many things. Now, I won't tell it all, but I'll tell a lot. And this is so that we can help each other to now get a hold of our own culture, the legacy, history, heritage, and culture of various bloodlines direct bloodlines, and how we walk out our spiritual process. So that was a whole premise of doing that, and then having a way to connect with community, right? And like I said, if the children, if the young folk, I won't say children, but the young folk ask me something, and I'm all for it, you know. So I think it's important. And again, just back to Brother Terrence, I have no affiliation whatsoever. I just like him, his thoughts about science, and he's a great actor. We already know that part. We go. Lucius Lyon is gonna forever be just kind of stuck in my mind, as far as like some of his great work. He's done many great movies in my opinion, but that one was it. I mean, he just owned that one. But either way, I just feel like the brother was on point. If you want to know about me, then you need to come to me. I just really thought that was on point. But this information that I'm sharing on this platform is for all of the community. It's for all of the culture. It's a way to help us to know each other, and I just think we can re-own our stories if we just start to tell our stories. Just re-own them. Just put them out there based on what we're saying, and that way people don't have to guess. They don't have to just throw in stuff, conjecture, and not have the actual information. All day, all day. So I had to come in, and I just want to come in closer and talk about that because it was just on my mind while I'm talking about this. But either way, let's get back to a little bit of this because I want to kind of drill this in as far as like the equinox and the way that it works when it comes to the alignment. Okay, so in an alignment, is that too small? Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Let's see if we can make this bigger. I want to make this as big as possible. I'm going to insert a text box. Here we go. I think we can do that. Insert a text box. I probably need to put a little music in the background, y'all. I should do that. So the pauses. I was hoping somebody can come on here so we can do a little chat in the background while I'm doing my work. We just on my mind. I'm like, why don't I have a session where I just kind of do my work in the background and let people kind of be a part of that process. Let me try to find us some music though, because while I'm pausing to do this, I'm going to put us a little music in the background. Very low. I had to be loud. Of course, it can be Maven sounds. That way I won't get any copyright strikes. Maven sounds. Let's do the playlist, y'all. In the background. I hope y'all got a chance to download. This is some of my original work through AI. I actually was the one who went in and did the. It's more so a way to. Let me get the playlist. But I did the actual information that you input in order to get these songs and such. Okay. Let me see. Let me turn it down just a little bit. Maybe about there. Okay, let's put us some little music in the background. All right. So, let's see here. So we have the Aries. I'm going to make this a little larger. And when we talk about astrology versus astronomy, astrology, again, is the spiritual side of this. And then we have the actual physical side of it, which will be the physical placement of our planets, sun, moon, and stars, the fixed stars. Let's see here. And it was in Aries for, I'm going to use this instead, y'all, because I think that, give me a second here. Let me pull this from here and put a text box around it. I just want to pull this out of here. Once we put the text box around it, and we'll be able to pull it into another position. Let me see. Once you click on it just like that, you can even take away the outline and just say no outline. And then you'll see that, let me see. Hopefully when you're doing your, let me see, you can move it around here. Put the outline around it. Get my other sheet back up. I think the way I pulled it in, it didn't do what I wanted to do, but here we go. I'm gonna pull it over to this sheet side by side. There we go. And we got, we can duplicate this. Or we can just use it like this. Let me just pull it over like this. Pull it over just like. Copy. And paste it. There we go. So, as I was mentioning, we can take out the outline and then we can just have it by itself. I'm trying to show you because I want you to be able to connect with your own chart. In just a moment, we're going to look at the Scribe navigation wheel and show you how to put in your own symbols, okay? Astrological symbols. You can take away the outline on this too. Just click in here within shapes. You can have an outline. Or you don't. I find that it works easy if you don't have an outline. If you don't have an outline around your symbol. No outline. Oh, let me take it off. You go into shape format. And then you just kind of click it. Once you actually, come on now. Let's see that works. Shape format. I got a whole bunch of these that I did, but I call myself showing. I probably will do this pre-recorded and then show you all because it's hard to kind of talk and do it for some reason. I'm gonna leave it on there. How about that? I'm trying to get it to a place where it's just like this by itself, but I don't have a way of doing it. But Aries, let's leave it like that with the symbol around it. And I'll show you the ones that I don't have it on. But right now, for some reason, not clicking in. But either way, we're going to get a chance to see the actual Scribe navigation wheel. And it's available at BibleMagic8.com. We're actually able to go in and you put your symbols in. I'm going to have a separate, I want to plan to have a separate presentation right now where I show you the ones that are already done. And then I'm going to show you how I've worked with it. And in delineations, what just means charting your, like for instance, your birth chart. Okay. So, let me pull you into that. In the alignment of the Aries is here because we have our moon in Aries, the physical placement of the moon. Let's talk about that first before I move you over. We have our moon in Aries, and then we have our sun as well, the soul, SOL, in Aries. So it's kind of like alignment now. And then we also have our the moon that is the position of a physical placement. Okay, so that's the astrology. So so you can think of it like the soul of the actual sun. Okay, that's in Aries. Then we have the let's see if I can copy this. It's not copying. Alright. Okay, there we go. See, stop acting up. Okay, then we have our moon that is in Aries as well. That is the astrological placement. Moon. And then we have the astronomical placement. And we can leave that actually in a little. Let's put it in here. Astronomical. The astron, okay? Spell it right though. There we go. So this alignment is what happens at the vernal equinox or the spring season equinox. So we have the sun in Aries, the astrological moon, as well as the astronomical. So this is the actual physical placement of the moon. This is the astrological, which is the spiritual placement, and that's why you have the two different ones. Some people follow, of course, the astrology, and they want to know where the moon, the sun, the moon, how they align. So this is what we're experiencing right now, is that all of our Aries placements are in each of the positions of sun, moon, astrological, and then moon physical. So that's what we have. And that's what the equinox is all about. Okay. Well, one thing. I don't want to say it's all about, but that's the main thing. Okay. So, be that as it may, when we get into looking at, I was going to change the color, but let's leave it up here. A little blue. Let's just make it larger. Okay, here we go. Push this over just a little bit. Go over. Put our alignment together. I think that's big enough. I think everybody can see that pretty good. Here we go. I think I was trying to do something like that. But either way, that's kind of like what we're looking at. The alignment of all of our bodies of the sky. I always want to say heavenly bodies, but I know we got away from that a little bit. But either way, that's the alignment. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get into what I have here for you as far as like, now we started on this before. Let me make sure I still have it here. Give me a second. Let me see if anybody's out here. I'm having this late chat. No, not yet. Sometimes I do the late chat so we can just kind of like unwind. You can watch it later. Let me see. So, let me bring in my I had it up earlier, but here we go. I know it was somewhere. Okay. Now we're going to introduce you to an aspect of our alignment with the body itself. So this is on page 22 of Rose Cross Matrix, Sacred Soul, Revival, our series, our e-readers. We have all the seasons represented. Of course, we're with Leviathan, would be, of course, the Diamond, level 1. This is the control of the, getting control and back to your regulation of your mind, your own personal mind, and pushing away anything that's going to be tying down the soul in any way. So this is our level 1. And it is, we're going to go ahead and share this. This is actually a fertility connection. So information about how the body works with the sun, the moon, the planets, and the fixed stars, okay? And it charts our destiny for us from birth. And then it remains as a continued guide to us as we walk out our daily lives. And if you just know what to look for, And this is what we're really working toward. And then we also have your soul sovereign unto yourself. Nothing else that's riding on you, like these extra entities or energies, we want to say it as well. These spirits that kind of like can ride or mount or house. As long as you're in your own sacred soul, um, then you're able to follow this path, okay, through the stars. And this right here is also like the way that the constellations are set up, so that there's the galactic activity kind of reaches in and kind of like connects you, so that you're able to get certain signs, especially when you're walking in your divine spiritual gifts. And this is what this guide assists with. And I feel like once we get a hold to that once again, because this is actually the first religion for us, the true religion, is in nature, it's in the stars. And we really believe that throughout our culture. This has been a part of us for quite some time, until it was somewhat shunned by others who didn't get what we were doing. But in essence, now we're moving back toward this direction. So we want to just make sure that people know how to reconnect and how to take these guides and be able to learn the information, and then make it help it to permeate your being, and then in your feelings as well. That's why we got oracle feeling, that oracle feeling. Because when you talk about the soul is about feeling. It's about getting what it means to stick when it comes to you and your own brand of spirituality. Okay, so that's what we're working toward here. But getting back to our connection here through our bodies, this is page 22 for those who have the guide. Thank you so much. This is a lesson study guide for the sacred soul. We have our sacred soul avatar, the Sibyl Claire Inova, Claire Inova, and it's Claire Inova as well. So I want to tell you, this is something that has been around for quite some time. Please don't be alarmed at this star right here. All it means is that we're astrologers and astronomers. That's all it means. I know that it seems mysterious to many folk, but that's what it means. It means astrologers and astronomers, okay? So please don't get alarmed by that when you see that there. That's all it means, y'all. But either way, we get into the connection of the body with the astrological signs and the symbols. We don't have the symbols here. That's actually the takeaway for a lot of our lessons, being able to place the symbols within this information. But we start with the head, of course. We have this avatar. We see ourselves as that sovereign being with our own spiritual connection through our soul guides. And that's what we're showing here, what's depicted within this picture. So we have the Ari, the Ori, the head, and we say Ori as well because a lot of our Islander kinfolk, we love them so much. They say Ori Ori, but it's just talking about the head and the aura as well. And a lot of people will see it as a nimbus, and we even talk about how they had the afro back in the day, in the 70s especially, and people still have the afros. But in the 70s, because we were actually tapping into this ancient true religion of our kinfolk. So there's some really great information about our James Black. If y'all want to look him up, James Black is an astrologer who was really, really key to information about astrology in the 70s. There was even an article write-up about him in Ebony magazine. So, this is stuff that we have known for a long time, but, it gets away from us. We're bringing it back, and that's all we need to do. That's why I mentioned we need to tell our own stories so we can get our information out there for folk, okay? But in essence, we got the head is the Ari, or as you can see, it's Aries, okay? And we're going to get into the symbolism as well, the name as it's spelled out. And it goes through the whole body, okay? So Aries is the head. The neck, of course, is going to be Taurus. And we just have the abbreviations for the symbolism of it, for the actual astrological sign, rather. And then Gem, of course, would be Gemini. That would be the arms. And then we actually say the Cancerian, right? We say our traditional words. We say the titties, okay, the titties. And I'm gonna say why, because there's a lot of sadistic connections of well, when I say connect, sadistic connection to our bodies as women. And one thing I feel like is that, and this is very sadistic, a lot of times people will use certain words and they say it's occult words, meaning it's hidden. And when I hear breast in particular, the way that I know that the occultism works is that certain things are hidden in plain sight. And they'll be having you say my breast, and then you take one letter out and it ends up being beast. And some of these groups, they think that's funny. Um, it's been around for decades, centuries, and thousands of years where people will introduce things into a society and then make that into a brunt of a joke. So I went with traditional because that's what I grew up knowing it as. And the next thing about it is that it ties into, now that's how we pronounce it, but it's also um, a word that is close to tides. Tides, as in the ebb and flow of tides of the ocean, for instance, that moves, and they say according to the planets, some people believe the moon as well, but the ebb and flow. So that's how our breasts are when you think about the ebb and flow for the baby to nurture and nourish the baby with milk. So there's a ebb and a flow of the milk. So I believe, and this is something that I don't have the exact information, but I believe that as time went on, words change, words kind of, the pronunciations kind of deviate. But I believe it was titty, the tides. It could have been Titus, Tidis, Tidus as well, because if you think about the Latin or the Old World language and how that is pronounced, but that's what my belief is that it has to do with the tides, and it just kind of like just changed form. I like to always say that consonants in letters, in words rather, they are consonant, they're constant, and the vowel sounds, they can actually shape shift. So now I believe that physical matter will shift, like SHAPE shift. But words in the rhythm and the cadence of words can shake shift. Meaning you can shake words up and they have a vibratory stance. So I believe that it was a kind of a play on words, and then also uh, it kind of like morphed into something different over the years. When we say titties or tides as well. So Titus, and then we also say teats with cows. You know, remember back in the day the heifer. That's a whole other level when we think about the goddess in Egyptian, or the Kemetic of the heifer, the Hathor, as well. So that has to do with Isis, of course, and it's really tied into fertility as well. So all these things, theories, things that we, that's personal, that's common knowledge within my culture, my direct bloodline. But we just, like I said, we have our own personal origin stories, and that's where I get that from. So I'm sticking to it too. But that's the Cancerian will be in the breast, as they say. But we say, and I wrote it anyway for the sake of familiarity, but we say titties, and we take that BREAST, and they remove that R. The next they saying beast, and that's so funny to people. Y'all, I think many of y'all know what I mean when I talk about that. But either way, we taking back our own stories. Okay, and then we have Leo as the heart. Okay. Um, Libra would be the hips. Now the hips, when you think about the hips, Libra being a scale, so the scale and the balance, so that's kind of like where that comes in. Now this is something that's very ancient. You see it depicted in different places where the body is showing as this particular symbolism. It's been around a long time, and that's a way to take onus of these astrological placements of the essence of the persona and characteristics of these symbols, okay, as it pertains to the cosmos, and tying us into that. That's something we've always done for a very, very long time. So just working us toward that once again. Of course, the Scorpio is going to be the privates, y'all. So we can see the privates will be where the hips are, and that's actually a way to kind of tie us into that as well. The flow of energy and that feeling through the cosmic realm, okay, divine cosmic realm. Then we get into the Aquarius with our legs, and then the Capricorn for the knees. And y'all know about kneecap. Okay, I always think about kneecap when we think about the Capricorn for the knees. So things we say all the time, don't even know what they came from, where they came from. Okay, so and then Pisces, of course, would be the feet, and that's why I said I had to get out the feet because I wanted to be completely in alignment with Aries today. So before I even came on, and so that's it. That's what we're showing today. So we're getting into kind of like more so directing our attention to the feminine, divine feminine, with this, of course, being March. And March is let's say this Women's History Month as well as Women's Appreciation Month. And I like to say Feminine Appreciation as well. So either way, saving this for last because I want to talk about the womb. And I didn't skip over on purpose. I wanted to, I skipped over on purpose because I wanted to make this last as far as the womb and the virgin. Okay. So, and the reason why I'm bringing this out at this point is because we think about the womb gateway and then the uterus and this time of year and fertility and the eggs. So what I like to show is the way that the egg would sit on top of the horns of the Aries. Let me go back into that. Let me get back into that. So you see how this looks as far as like the horns of Aries. Imagine an egg sitting right on top of that and being balanced, and then it looks as if it is an actual uterus. Okay. So the symbolism of that, let me go ahead. That's Aries, of course. I can bring in, because I really want to play this out, flesh this out for y'all. Let me see here. Let's blow this up a little bit. Okay, so the Aries, and then when we get into the eggs, when people say, well, what are eggs? Why are we decorating eggs around this time of year? Because from what I grew up knowing in our direct bloodline is that the egg represents the uterus. Then I'm going to show you how in just a second here. Let me insert some a shape. Oh no, sorry, icon. Let's insert an icon. Let me see if anybody's coming to join us. Not at this time. It's okay. Sometimes I like to do this so we can kind of stay focused too. An egg. Let's see. Let's bring in this one because it looks like a decorated egg. So what I want to show you is how we look at the egg as far as like the way that it somewhat gives you this look of the top of a uterus. Wait a second here. Let me get in here. First I want to make it a little smaller. And then we want to change the orientation of it and bring it over here. So we need to go on top of this. So right above it, let's see how I have this in here. Oh, I didn't make that into a symbol yet. Check this. Insert a text box. There we go. So I can make it a text box. So watch this. So that symbolism and the way that it looks as far as like a the uterus. So many of the symbols that you see and the way that it actually plays out within the divine feminine, some of this stuff is sacred secrets, and how we use these symbols in order to help us to kind of like remember remember our divine feminine, remember the fertility in and of itself, and how we allow ourselves to experience that, especially in the springtime. As the earth is opening up for seed to be deposited, and then we have growth, flowers, as I said, the flowers, the plants, the trees, and even when you get into the birds and the bees, every womb of creation is considered to be the matrix, okay? The matrix, the actual real matrix. Not the fake matrix, not the mimic matrix. This is a real matrix, okay? So this is the aspect of egg and what it means with Aries and coming into alignment with that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all release everyone, and we're gonna keep this conversation going. But at this point, we're gonna make sure that we are tying into the divine feminine in the month of March, and especially in the spring. So again, I hope you had a wonderful day, and continue to enjoy yourself during this time, because we're moving into a time where more knowledge, more information, more ways to connect with each other and hear our own personal origin stories. All right. All the best to you in progress. This is High Priestess Maven. I'm going to stop it here for the sake of time, and then we're going to get back into it just a bit more, okay? Later on. All right. Take care.